This is an introduction to using Field Analyzer for the measurement and quantification of digital images taken from an aerial platform such as a drone. To begin with, you should click on the Field Analyzer icon. The Field Analyzer runs in Java and is supported by all platforms. To begin with, you can open up the picture that you want to select using the menu here, and we'll begin with by looking at an RGB image of a soybean field. The image pops up and we have three different tabs at the top for analysis, regions, and results, and we'll be looking at all three of those. We'll come down here to the analysis selector first. We'll be looking at coverage, and we'll also at the same time be looking at average color and DGCI. Both of these use RGB images. There are also selectors that you can look at infrared intensity. That's black and white infrared that's on a scale from 0 to 255 shades of gray, and NDVI where we're looking at the near infrared minus blue divided by the near infrared plus blue. So looking at average coverage, coverage and average DGCI and color. We're going to be using DGCI standards that are over here in this corner. You can, if you have different standards, you can select what values those are by entering those in here. We'll zoom in a little bit using the mouse wheel and go over to the lower right hand corner of this image, where we can select the DGCI image by just standards by double clicking on the center and make those a little bit bigger if you want to. Our standards are circular, but there's no reason that you cannot use rectangular images as well. Okay, so now that we have our DGCI image standard selected, we'll come up here and select our colors for canopy coverage. And to do that, I've already pre-selected, predetermined what those values should be. The low hue should be somewhere around 40, the low saturation at 13, and the high saturation at 63. And you can use the sliders itself, or you can also use the arrow keys to move those around a bit. So this looks like it's done a pretty good job. What we want to make sure of is that there is the colors in the standards are not selected, and that we're doing a really good job on eliminating the soil background but leaving the green pixels. You can look at the threshold image selector to toggle that on and off to make sure you're doing a good job with that. We're going to come over here to the left hand side of the picture, and we can again look at those threshold settings to make sure we're getting a good job here, and it looks like we are. We'll just leave it there. I'm going to look at this side of the field now and go to the region selection tab, where you can select what portion of the field you want to analyze using two different methods. We can start off by placing a grid over the plots, and to do that I have 19 different rows here and 4 columns. So that's you just enter that here in the grid settings, then go down to the one corner of your field where you want your grid to be placed, double click and spread that grid out over your field. Center it over your plots. That looks like it's done a good job. Double click. Then you can remove the edge effects by using the X offset to take off the ends of the plots and the Y offset to take off the sides of the plot, so that you're really just looking at the plot interior. After you've done that, just hit OK. The analysis is now completed. You can look at individual plots here by pressing on them. It will tell you the coverage value and the DGCI value. Go to the Results tab, and it has the plot name listed from 1 to 76, the total number of pixels in the rectangle, the number of green pixels selected, coverage, average red, average green, average blue, average hue, saturation, and brightness, and DGCI value. Okay, let's go back to the Regions tab. The other way that you can look at plots is by placing rectangles over individual plots. And let's slide this over a little bit to these individual rows that I have here. We'll zoom in just a little bit. And I'm going to change this now from plot 001 to rectangle underscore 001 so that we don't get confused when we look at our results tab here. You use the place rectangle selector very much like the grid selector. Double click, drag, bring it across over the portion that you want to look at. Double click again. It gives you the coverage value, the DGCI. The plot name is updated with each selection, so we're now looking at our second plot. Do the same thing, drag, double click. You can continue doing this across your field. And looking at the results page, it'll have those rectangle individual selections down at the bottom there. The next step is just saving your results. You press save. It will save these files in whatever subdirectory you were looking at as a CSV file that can then be opened in a spreadsheet. When we open this in the spreadsheet, it has a little summary at the top, the file name of the image that was selected, when it was analyzed, the low hue, high hue settings, low saturation, high saturation settings, and the brightness settings. It also has the DGCI standards that were used and the values that we had there, and then the same information that was on the results tab. Okay, with that I will close. If you have questions on this, please feel free to contact us at the website, and I hope you enjoy using Field Analyzer.